Hello, and thank you for tuning in for this very exciting interview. Tonight, we have our very special guest, Steve, aka Impulse 9, joining tonight to talk about the release of his new album, Nothing Is Easy. Also, we have the creator and organizer of the most impactful platform for independent artists on the internet, CAN, that is Collaborative Artist Network. Dan, aka Neccos for breakfast, with us tonight. So we got two great individuals here to talk to. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I feel like we're in a kick-ass sequel. You have everyday people who wouldn't know you for nothing walking past the street, but instead of moonlighting as crime-fighting superheroes, we kind of moonlight as independent artists with cool names like Impulse 9, Neccos for breakfast, 15 Minutes of Fame. And can we even have a Doctor Universe, which is kind of awesome. So what
Yeah,
do you think about that? That's pretty badass. Do you guys ever get that feeling that you're just in the coolest club ever and nobody knows about it?
And I work in a on a university campus, so I'm very aware that I'm surrounded by people who are, well, the way I put it is that you don't get a PhD in ancient Greek by accident.
You have to be well intended to go for it. And
Yes. The people who are studying their subjects are, to put it very mildly, into it. And I really, really enjoy being surrounded by people who are passionate about whatever it is they do, even if it's something that I have zero interest in at all. People who have that amount of passion about things are just a delight to listen to.
I agree, passion is passion. And so, speaking of Impulse 9 and Neckos for Breakfast, tell us the origin story about the artist names.
I'll go on
I'm,
that one
I don't,
quick, like super easy. The night we started the band, it was like 3 in the morning. My best friend and I were at my house, chilling in the room, legs up on the wall, playing an old Mexican acoustic guitar, writing these stupid songs, and chugging Neckos back and forth at each other, um, trying to catch them in our mouths when we're playing. And we're like, let's start a band. And then it was like morning, so that's it.
Neckos for Breakfast.
I mean, that's it. But then at shows,
Well,
people would chuck them, and the bass player would always try to catch them, and you'd leave the show to be covered in powdered candy.
well, that's a
That's my
fun little gimmick, though. Yeah, that's
it was awesome.
yeah.
I mean, I imagine that you had to step up on a lot of other bands that had a different kind of powder. They're
Exactly. I always
covered.
have to have like a disclaimer.
I mean, I, for all of the interesting lore I've got, the name is the least interesting. I picked up my name from the all weapons code in Quake. Like, like
Well, there you go.
if you hit Quake, if you hit tilde in Quake 1 and you type impulse and then the numeral 9, you get all of the weapons and ammo and whatnot.
That's fan.
Um,
No, being a cheat code,
That's
that is
awesome.
fantastic.
it's a
That's
cheat code,
awesome.
yeah.
I am
Um,
disappointed because I want to know what your eighth impulse was, but
I mean, that would be like the missile launcher, yeah.
okay.
Uh, and it's just that's what happens when you pick up a name in high school. But the thing is, what's funny about it is that because I picked that up in like, well, the late 90s or whatever, I'd been using that as my like handle or whatnot ever since. And so you will find me with that more consistently than with my actual name on the internet.
When you say late '90s, when was that? When do you think that name developed?
Uh, Geez, I guess 96 or 7,
That's great. That's exactly when that goes for breakfast started. It was 95, 6, same thing,
something like that. Because
same
before that,
incubator.
I was using uh Mr. Mephisto, which was
Ooh,
the stage persona that Bono used during the Zoo TV tour when U2 was on tour in the early 90s as uh, a sort of American bastardization of Mephistopheles. Um, it's a I, I won't go into it because I'd be talking for a while about it, but it's a very interesting thing that they were doing
I like
at
your
that
new
time.
name.
Yeah, it's also takes a lot less explanation.
I always felt silly being Neccos for breakfast. I always wanted so bad to be something cooler, and I tried to change it 3 times over the years, and just
That
such
is not how it
backlash,
works.
such
Yeah.
backlash. For about a month, we were backwards masking tape,
Eh,
and then that didn't work. So for literally 3 months, we played festivals as Sarah's Down Home Barbecue Surprise, S- SDHBS, and I loved that one. Sarah's Down Home Barbecue Surprise. It didn't
I don't
catch.
know if I've ever met a band that was entirely happy with their name.
Yeah, I'm good now. I'm good. I'm good.
It's
But
it's one of those things where I think that the name finds you. If you
yeah,
try to name your band, like it never comes out exactly the way you want it to.
Actually, I take it
But
back. Black Sabbath. I'm sure they were happy with their name,
oh yeah, absolutely.
but
With
they got in early though.
Ozzy.
I think that was the thing though. They got in early. Like,
Yeah,
you know, in the '60s, there just wasn't a lot of competition.
they're pioneers, right?
Yeah, like they got in early, but after like I don't know, probably like 1975, there just were like all the cool names were taken, so
Yeah,
they couldn't do anything.
agreed.
except Impulse 9. They missed that one.
Except for
Yeah.
him. That's right. All right, so Steve, we're here tonight to talk about Nothing is Easy.
All
I
right.
just got out of the listening party that you hosted on Bandcamp, and I want you to tell us what it's like to actually be able to hear your album out in the world now, see the feedback you were getting from the chat, and just know the time is here at the stroke of midnight. My album is your album. How does that feel?
Um, well, I mean, the thing about being out here on well, Pacific time effectively is that most of the planet it's already out.
Oh yeah,
Um,
touche. Yeah.
um, and I'm trying, I don't know, it's very strange. But it's pe- I have been asked if I'm, nervous or anything like that, but not really because to me, nervousness is associated with um action. Like I'm more nervous about something that I can do something about.
Hmm.
Um, you're nervous if before a big game or whatever.
Yeah.
And all of the things that I could have possibly done to affect the outcome of this have,
Are already done.
yeah, like this is the very end of a decade plus process. So like I mean this is it. This is like the door is shut, the keys are like this is done. So like there's not really a lot to be nervous about because like the only thing that really I have left is I have been bludgeoning Google Sheets into trying to get it to work with MailChimp, so that I could like send an email out tomorrow about the album and Bandcamp Friday. Like,
Hmm.
like that's kind of where I'm at with it. Um, but it is strange. Mostly, honestly, here's the thing. I'm not done though, because Nothing is Easy is actually the first half of a pair of sister albums.
Oh, snap. So
And I
more to
didn't
go.
want to steal my own album's thunder by talking about the other album, but yeah, there's another one right coming up right behind it.
So full of
But
surprises.
Oh, wow. Look at
yeah, so I'm not actually done. And the other album is a cover album, whereas Nothing is Easy is all originals. I did everything myself and was largely retroactive in sort of mindset. The other album is all covers, all collaborative, and largely forward thinking.
Mhm.
It's the same number of tracks, but uh, basically, like I liked how they were sort of mirror images of one another. And it was originally going to be like the B-sides with covers and whatnot, but I realized that there were enough of them and they were all super high effort and really just deserved better than B-side treatment. And so yeah, it ended up being an oopsie baby of an album.
Huh.
And so yeah, so I'm kind of not out of the woods yet in a way. So So I don't really think of myself as done. Uh, but in about a month and a half, I will feel like I am done, and then I will take a 2.5 month nap.
And just be, I'm gonna step away from it for a little while, hibernate.
Yes,
I
I'm
don't
going to
believe that,
delete a lot
Steve.
of DSTs. It's going to be glorious.
I don't believe it. I think you're going to come out of your rest with another album in your head. That's what I think.
Well, there is also a game soundtrack, um, but that's already mostly done. But that's waiting on the game to be finished. And then there's an ambient album that's also
Mhm.
mostly done. There's about 6 hours worth of music, basically. That's all
Wow.
supposed to come out before about January. Um, but
Amazing.
yeah, and then there's two more singles too. Um, so it's all kind of like, I guess, I'm glad that I can start talking about all of the stuff that's coming out now, I guess, because I felt like I've kind of kept it under wraps in a lot of ways.
Now
But
that nothing as easy as out, the floodgates can kind of open a little bit, and you can kind of talk about everything that encompasses that release. I think
yeah,
that so you kind of touched on this. Now, exactly how long have you been working on Nothing Is Easy? And I guess the subsequent albums that and music that you have planned around that. I know some of the stuff from your EPK like was early, mid, late 2000s.
yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where it depends on how you count it. You
Hmm.
know, like the riff for Heavy Metal Mama is something that I've been messing around with since. I don't have proof of it, but I'm pretty sure since like early college, so probably like 2001. And that
Order
I
of
have
Assistance.
failed to do something proper with ever since. The oldest file that I have like metadata for that I can prove that I have a demo for is 2007, which is, a minute.
Yeah.
Uh, but like, but even the newest song, Fireflies, which was a last minute substitution for one that just would not cooperate. Um, I think that I started recording that one in 2023. Um, so like even the newest one was like 2.5 years old.
Mhm.
Um,
So, Steve, when you first reached out to me about getting a little pre-release going on Can, and I heard the very beginning of your story about the album, it hit me really hard. That's why, because the album that I released in 2023 for me was a huge moment of finally getting something done for so many reasons. And my earliest metadata song for that was 2003, so it was 20
Mhm.
years from the date. Um,
yeah,
and I know how that goes. Like I know, and when you said that, it really hit home with me, and I was like, man, am I interested in this? So
it's just forever.
congratulations, by the way.
Thank
What I
you.
what
Thank
we all
you.
said when we got done, we said it's done, and now we can never fail at it because it's
Well, and
done.
that's the thing. Like so many of these are, you know, they took a really long time, but a lot of the things that have been developed since then, it's not nearly as long. I mean,
Mhm.
Call of the Void, which I got done kind of in this interstitial thing, basically just to take a break from everything because everything was just going on. I mean, that started and finished in like, I don't know, 3 weeks or something like that. So like, I don't know, it's just funny you had a 17-minute song that was started and finished in 3 weeks in the middle of an album that took decades. So
That is
like,
ironic, yeah.
yeah, it's just learning how to do all this stuff. Has made a huge difference. But it's also because like a lot of this has been developed over such a long time that there were so many ideas that were getting put in and taken out, and like
Mhm.
they were just very fraught, and they were also being developed at like really intense times of my life when people were dying and all this other stuff. So like there was a lot kind of attached to them, just emotionally. So like that kind of mm, drags them a little bit. So like
Yeah,
it was just like this, you know, just really had to drag a lot of these guys across the finish line.
sure.
And I simply do not. expect that for future projects.
Yeah, I could see it's just like a culmination of different circumstances because you kind of touched on this a little bit, and I was actually one of the things I kind of wanted to hear about. Like when I wrote your review, I was very touched in your EPK about how you had played the song "I'm Sorry About Your Everything" to your father, and he said "wow," and subsequently that ended up being the last word he said before he passed away. And I had my father and I were like oil and water. We had a very strange relationship that somehow worked, but very difficult. And he was very into country music, and I never was. And
Mhm.
he got to listen to my first EP, which was an Americana album, which was about the closest I could ever get to country music at
Sure.
that time. And just to hear his reaction, and like to like hear him be proud of something that I did because I never felt, and I know that this is probably a different experience than what you had with your father, but like I just the connection between father, son, and
Oh yeah,
the
it's
music,
real.
it's just this profound thing. So I wanted to ask you how it felt to have that moment in such an particularly important time, knowing that this was like right before he passed away, like to have that almost moment of validation for your work and for what you were doing. Does that resonate with you at all?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it was. I mean, I'm glad that I managed to push. Um, the primary challenge with this album was that I had just this massive pile, and I mean massive pile of not songs, of just things that just didn't really go anywhere. Like I had put together albums or things that I called albums that were just really just demos that didn't really go anywhere. And but that one felt like a song.
Mhm.
But it took a while to get it there. I mean, it has a bunch of different sections, and that took a
Yeah.
lot of mixing and matching, and parts that worked and transitions that did not work. And it took a while to get there. And it took my dad 9 months in the hospital before he passed.
Mm.
Um, and pretty much the entire time, I was frantically trying to get this song to work because I mean, I didn't have a we were never sure, for long swaths whether or not he was going to make it or anything. But like, it wasn't looking great all the time, and so I really wanted him. I really wanted to get at least something done, to show him, because I promised myself that I was going to get something. I told myself I was going to finish the album, and um, I don't know. I'm terrible about overestimating my ability to finish projects, but um, you know, the fact that I managed to get it to a state where um, the demo that I showed him had the same structure and like 95% of the same instrumentation of what ended up on the album, which I consider close enough.
Mm.
And like that is what's important to me. That like I got that done in time to show him. That like I was capable of getting the thing that I told him that I was capable of doing.
Yeah.
Um, because there was doubt, and it was well founded that I was able to do these things because he'd seen me noodling away at it for quite a long time, and you know. Um, he always told me he'd believe it when he saw it, and he did when he did. And
Good.
that validation,
That's irreplaceable, right?
yeah, because I mean, because you could, you only can, um, you can only get it by showing. Like, that's not
Yeah.
something. That's not. It wasn't subjective.
Sure.
It was highly objective. Yeah, you either did it or you didn't, and it is.
Absolutely.
I love how that story connects. It shows how deep and how important music can be,
Hmm.
and how it holds a real place. It is a real thing. It's not an idea. It's a thing. It comes in different forms.
It's universal.
The
Yeah.
live sound, the captured sound. But you were going for this, what I think is, in my opinion, some people love jamming more or whatever. For me, the creation of the song, and then especially the fixating of that song in its form you want it to be, that you hear it as, that you want to. That is a
Yeah,
big moment, and it's you can't do it any other way. And so
right.
the fact that you got there, and that it was received, like you delivered it and it was received. It's huge. I love it. I love it for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, ours was a household that played a lot of Beatles and Stones, and they wrote songs.
Hmm.
Yep.
It wasn't a Grateful Dead household.
No, mine was a Beatles house, not Stones, but
Yeah,
Beatles.
yeah.
You're right.
So,
Beatles house too. Yeah. So,
so
And Zeppelin.
Dan, you seem to have a particular ear for talent. And independent artists and musicians from all over the world tend to kind of find you as well. So,
Truth.
how did you and Steve end up linking up, and how did you discover Impulse Nine's music?
Well, I had been a follower of, a casual, is not fully engaged, because that's how it is when there's so much to be engaged with, as you know.
Hmm.
And I've made no small issue of the fact that I'm I feel like my ultimate goal, my ultimate calling is to help bring great artists and music and bring it above the noise as much as I can. Not that I have some special power. I'm trying to build platforms and things where I can have more effect, but I noticed last year I started, like you said, I started finding it, and so it became clear to identify. And a big part of that is how people also interact with their own music. And Steve actually reached out to me, and he I don't know how much you know, Steve, or how much you realize what you said, how important that was. But I'm building this platform. I believe it's got limitless potential for to do the things that we're missing in the music community, and I want people to showcase some of their stuff. And it's got to start somewhere, right? Like, and we're figuring out how to do it. And he said, "Hey, let's what about a little pre-release on Can of my album?" And then I said, "Send me some music." I checked it out. Of course, it hit my heart because Smashing Pumpkins is the big influence. They vie for my favorite band back and forth all the time. And then when I heard it, I could hear the heart in it immediately, which is amazing because with no vocals, to be able
Yeah,
to put
instrumental, I
emotion
was gonna say. Yeah.
is incredible. And then when I caught the first traces of his story, and then, we are selfish human beings, and when things mimic our own, we we are attracted to them because
Yep.
you sense it, that resonation. So when he talked about it being such a long process and his father and all this, it was instantly. I said, I don't even, you know, no question. Let's do everything we can. So
Look,
that's how it had to do with us
got
meeting
me.
about our common desire to do something different musically. And then I don't know if Steven knows much about my music. We haven't talked much about it, but we have a lot in common that way as well. So yeah, and a great find. I've spun the album multiple times, more than I had to be officially able to talk about it. Let's put it that way. I listened beyond when I had to, to where I really wanted to again and again.
thank you.
Yeah,
So, talking about influences, Smashing Pumpkins and things like that. So when we were in the listening party just now, there was mention of a couple different, UK artists like U2 and Muse and things like that, or bands like that. So who would you say is your biggest influence musically? Would you say it's Smashing Pumpkins or?
Um, on a sonic level, I'd have, yeah, it'd probably be the Pumpkins. On a sort of a meta level, it'd be U2.
Hmm.
Um, in that U2 is where I sort of started in high school, and they were an excellent means of introduction. Um, I honestly, I would challenge anybody to find a band that had a larger surface area in terms of um, collaboration and like interaction with other artists.
Right.
Um, they introduced, I mean, like I saw Rage Against the Machine open for them. Like,
That's Muse open for them.
yeah,
In the twilight
um,
of, well, what you could argue is maybe not the twilight of their career, because U2's still kicking.
I
They're
mean, they're still
playing
doing their
here in
thing. I mean,
Vegas.
my thing with them is definitely like the '90s for me is like when they were absolutely mind blowing, and
Yeah.
I mean
Hold Me, Throw Me,
they
Kiss Me, Kill
opened.
Me is still probably my favorite song of theirs.
Yeah, I mean, you had BB King and Bob Dylan were working with them. They had Johnny Cash at the absolute nadir of his popularity. This was
Yep.
long before, the American song stuff. They had remixes from Paul Oakenfold. These all these like trance pioneers before they were big, doing all kinds of interesting techno stuff. They donated all of their the proceeds to the one single to AIDS research way before that was cool.
Yep.
I mean, like they introduced me to anime for God's sake because they were on the their Ghost of the Shell soundtrack. And I didn't know what anime was when I was 14, but until that. And
I
then
didn't even know that. That's crazy.
yeah, and I'm just like, okay, I guess this is a thing. And in 1994, like anime was still just starting to like really become a thing in the US.
Hmm.
Like their ability to the Pixies opened for them and in '93, and like that was before they were really. I mean, that was still before like they were really well known. Like their ability to sniff out interesting stuff at that time was incredible.
Man, there's a
Um,
conversation to be had here, guys. I wish we had an hour because I want you to
right,
help figure out my brain because I don't, we're still friends, okay? You two never sang to me. I mean, for whatever circles I was in, I don't know why. I know they're fantastic. A few of their songs do move me. Um, but they've always not been that band. It's kind of like where I divest. And
and
I
they don't
wonder
have like
why. I wonder why.
there's nothing wrong. I can send you a couple of
Yeah.
things that are interesting, but I mean, I was just very fortunate that like I landed on that because they were just like here and they were just unabashed about like their fandom of everybody
Yeah.
else.
And I didn't
Um,
know that. I didn't see that. I didn't, wherever I was musically, I didn't see that at the time. So I didn't cut my teeth on that. I was into like Agent Orange and like gritty, like
yeah. Well,
dirty,
I mean, even
funky stuff.
they were like
Yeah.
huge Ramones fans,
Oh,
and
I
like
was
they introduced me to like the Clash and all this
Yeah.
kind of stuff too.
every single band you said besides them is my favorite. I wonder what did my brain miss, but we'll figure that out
Well,
Yeah,
later.
well, that
it's
was what was great about it because they were just like showing me all these things, and then
Yeah.
I heard Disarm on the radio, and it brought me to Siamese Dream, and that sound went straight into into my heart and has never let me go. And then
That's yes.
And then Melancholy, like I
Right.
actually sat down and I posted something to the Melancholy or to the Smashing Pumpkins subreddit on Reddit. It is sitting at 0 upvotes because that's how these things go. And it is a list of all of the ways that Melancholy specifically, or Melancholy and a couple of other albums, influenced this album. And it's like 20 bullet points long. And it's not just like, oh, this guitar sound, but it's like, uh, the reason I put Heavy Metal Mama next to Fireflies is because of Cupid de Lock and Love. Like
Mhm.
I always loved that pairing. And I was
Yeah.
like, I need to have the heavy song go to the quiet song. Like somewhere on
Yep.
my album, that has to happen. The liner notes for um, Pisces Iscariot, where he talks about soothe and talks about if you listen carefully, you can hear the buses going by. That is why I left all of the noise on for Fireflies, because if you listen carefully, you can actually hear my dryer.
That's
Um,
fantastic.
That's
I
like,
love
amazing.
that.
and I was just
I
like, you
go
know what?
back and listen for it.
Yes, I love that. And it was because there's crickets back there too, and I like the crickets. And then I'm gonna see if I can get the lock groove. I'm gonna see if I can keep the crickets in the lock groove for the LP.
That's cool.
Um, so like, anyway, the list is extensive. So like on a meta level, like you two had me, you know, in the hills. And if it wasn't for
Gotcha.
them, like I did, oh, they were also they brought Sinead O'Connor around as well. But
Yep.
like so
Fellow
they were the
Irish.
ones who had me like off exploring. But Butch Vig, Flood, and Alan Moulder, those three are the people who affected the sound. And oddly enough, those are the people who also made Octung Baby, Zooropa, and Pop sound good.
Mhm.
It's those people, behind Melancholy and Siamese Dream as well, to the point where it kind of makes me wonder, like,
Wait,
who
they
should be
they're the same
credited?
people?
What's that?
You said the people that produced those albums produced all four of them?
Yep. Flood was part
Okay.
of Octung Baby and Melancholy and Infinite Sadness, as was Alan Moulder, and Butch Vig was
Okay.
also remixing for both U2 and Smashing Pumpkins.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're you know a lot
I
of
think
stuff.
uh Dan, I think I would say that maybe you don't necessarily fall into this category, but I do think a lot of people don't realize how much U2 they know or have been exposed to. I
I
mean,
was
this
gonna
is a
say that. They're one of the
multi-generational
Yep.
band. I would even say, so I am a U2 fan, but they're not my favorite band. My favorite band historically has always been Radiohead for a
Radiohead.
long time. Like I've loved Radiohead, but I have a profound appreciation for everything that U2 has done. And I would argue to say that generationally, they might be the best band in the world today. Like maybe them, or you could say somebody like Aerosmith or Metallica, who just have this insane longevity, or just this ability to maintain relevance for so long. But like they won their and I know, winning Grammys doesn't constitute, greatness necessarily, but they won for Joshua Tree in the 80s. And then they won for um
Zooropa.
what's the 2000 album that had Beautiful Day?
All that you can't leave behind.
Yeah, All That You Can't Leave Behind. And they even I think they got like a record for um How to Dismantle an Atomic Bomb, or
They
like
did.
not the album, but they got like they won a record for something on was it oh, I
I
can't
don't
remember
know.
the
I can't
singles
remember
off
what
of
it
that
was.
album. But they've just there's just this long span between
Yeah.
album of the year wins even, and that's the
Yeah,
proof
so
of it.
so I'm definitely not in that camp that doesn't recognize it. That's what I was saying earlier. I
Yeah,
definitely get it. And actually, after hearing both of your explanations, I see a little bit more why, and I understand it. It's kind of cool because um, what they brought to the table was one thing, and then what
yeah,
Smashing Pumpkins brought was another thing. and what other bands brought was another thing. And to me, what really hit me was Smashing Pumpkins and some other bands around that time hard. And you just only have room for so much. And I think I
Oh
had
yeah.
my uncles who are all very musical in bands that would pour stuff in. Like, where would I find Agent Orange at 12? Like,
Yeah.
he's must have been the radio. So I think
Yeah.
I had that. So I probably was just distracted. Do you know what I mean? So, but I
Yeah.
do recognize it big time. When I go through and listen to their catalog, it's like, holy crap.
Yeah. And kind of
Well,
to what Steve was saying as well too, like they surround themselves with very talented people as well. For All That You Can't Leave Behind, that the first album that they started working with Brian Eno?
oh no, that was back in they had
No.
that him around for Unforgettable Fire.
Oh, okay. So long time then. But
Yeah.
after All That You Can't Leave Behind, Brian Eno started working with Coldplay, and that
Mhm.
completely changed their sound too. Now, I personally am not the biggest Coldplay fan in the world, but it did kind of open a door for them as far as like expanding their brand. They blew up after, Viva La Vida and Milo's Xylodo, I think was the name of the best album or
Yeah,
something like that.
they went from what they were to what they are.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And on one hand, you can say like they got really big. On the other hand, you can say, man, I really miss Parachutes and A Rush of Blood to the Head and how great those albums were.
Well, we can
Yeah,
say
like,
this. We can say that you two also helped bring us Impulse Nine's new album.
yeah,
So,
absolutely.
so
That's
I am
right.
good.
2025. You heard
They
it
just
here.
went right up my list. They
Well,
just climbed rank.
I mean, there's also I want to shout out to Mogwai also is a big chunk of it. I mean, the instrumental is there. I mean, the actual amount of the majority of the music I actually listen to on a day-to-day basis is actually post rock. I listen to an absolutely stupid amount of Mogwai and so watch you from afar and like Sigur Rós and just we lost the sea and secret gardens and just all that kind of like instrumental goodness, like the mathy stuff all the way through like the big
Yeah.
epic stuff. It doesn't show up as much as you would think in the stuff that I've been making lately, but that has got a lot to do with what I was saying before about how all of the previous demos were really aimless and not really songs. And it led to a album where I was really meticulously editing and like really focused on like songs, which is not what post rock's really known
Yeah.
for. So I have a feeling that future stuff is going to be a little bit looser, a little more posty than this thing was. So
That's what's so great about this whole thing is you taking all these different influences
Hmm.
and you put it into this new product, this new thing the creation that has all these influences, and that's why it's a new thing. I love it.
it's a lot of fun. I mean, well, and that's also what the B-sides were so much fun. I mean, like there's the one that starts with that's the I'm 16 one. It's like 9 minutes long and like
Yeah.
is just this groove pretty much the whole time, and it's very. I mean, like I would call that like basically like post rock and lo-fi had a baby.
Oh, right on. And being that it is instrumental too, and you kind of named a few instrumental influences as well, but your primary instrument is guitar. Uh,
Mhm.
are you welcome to like those who might say like maybe you sound like Stevie Ray Vaughan even or like a Carlos Santana, which I don't hear any influence to those guys, but namely because they're mostly instrumentalists and things. I know they do a lot of collaborating and stuff like that, but is that like a welcome conversation or are you like, no, you did not listen to the album at all?
I mean, those those people are specifically are much better guitarists than I am. So I mean, mostly I would be like, I didn't play anything that hard. Like,
It wasn't that complex.
yeah, like I don't know, man. Like,
Yeah, I mean, really, those guys just kind of sit there and they solo for 6 minutes per song.
yeah, like
Um,
there was
and
not a
that's,
lot of this going
I
on down
think,
there. So I don't
back to
know.
the reference, like you're a Beatles household and there's much more composition by way of what you're doing. I would not say that at all, but I just think that like sometimes people listen to something or be like, "Oh, it's an instrumental guitar song like
Yeah.
Stevie Ray Vaughan." No,
Well,
not
I
like
mean,
Stevie Ray Vaughan.
the way I think of it is, I mean, I have a eventually one day. I mean, probably in like spring, I'll get around to it. I have a whole thesis around this, but the very short version is that I think that music theory is to music as grammar is to language. It is essentially the grammar. Music theory is the grammar of music,
Yep.
and
Agreed.
uh, and genre is essentially accents,
Mhm.
and or in extreme cases dialects. So Stevie
So,
Ray Vaughan would be like a really thick, to use a metaphor, Southern accent. Um,
well done.
and and I could think I don't remember using a lot of drawl in my speech, you know.
Yep.
But like, when you're just kind of rolling through something like, something might have snuck in and not, really realized it.
It's
Just kind
really
of depending
perfect
on
to
how it's
say.
going,
Yeah.
you know.
There's much more propriety in what you play. Yeah.
Right. Whereas I might have, simply not recalled such a thing just because it's 37 and a half minutes long. Um, but like, but we still know mostly where we're drawing from.
Huh?
But at the same time, there's so much, in these mixes, that, the stuff kind of can get a little mishmashy. So, part of it is sort of knowing what the rules of our accents are, though. Like, knowing what the rules of our idiom. Like British slang has rules. You know, if you want to sound if you want to sound like you're from the north, or if you want to sound like you're from California, if you want to sound like you're from any other place, you want to do certain things with your language. And same thing if you want to sound like Smashing Pumpkins, well, by golly, you better start layering some guitars, you know.
Yep.
Um, so like you learn the grammar, you know, and so yeah, no, I'll definitely copy certain kinds of guitar music, um, and even little bits of like blues riffs and things like that. But
I think you do a really good job though of
Yeah.
not it's not just like you just did something that was like somebody else's. It's a great mix and a great combination that comes out to something new. In fact, I was playing it for my family in the car, and we were listening to the last track, the Tombstone
Johnny
track.
Ringo, Shadow over
Um,
Johnny Ringo's grave.
and she said something about something, what it made her feel like or think like, and I said, he just told me that's what he was aiming for, and she said, you tell him when you talk to him, he nailed it. Because we just envisioned like a dust bunny rolling by and dust
Oh
in
Yeah.
yeah,
the air and someone chewing on a piece of grass, spitting
Mhm.
and walking doom doom over a tombstone. Like it was there, but it wasn't directly from anything. It wasn't. Yeah, it was great.
I
That's
mean we were physically 40 miles east of Tombstone, Arizona. That is where Johnny Ringo is buried. He was found with a bullet hole and
not
buried
automatic
right
to
where he
sound like
was.
that just because you were there, though. So
Yeah,
congratulations, because you did it.
thank you.
Yeah.
It's great.
So we were playing Pokemon Go. No joke.
Love
That's
it.
amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, she
So
did.
we
She
were
did tell me.
actually we were actually talking about that track and the previous track in the live chat as well too, and how like that those two in particular we heard influence, and I actually even mentioned because we were talking about how there was like an influential sound towards Muse in those two songs,
Yeah.
and I even mentioned I was like, but it to your point, Dan, I was telling the chat, I was like, but it stands on its own. You know, like you hear these little subtleties, you know, and we were kind of poking fun at the last one, you know, with the horns and everything having like the Knights of Sidonia
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
or hoodoo sound to it, but it's very
In
much
the 6/8.
no,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
sounds like a Western rock song, and like the only if you really get analytical about it, the only real similarity is that those two songs are also happen to be Western rock songs, but they stand on their own. And you know, that song in particular, I love that song. I love that sound. And I think it was you who said we need more songs that sound like it. And after hearing it, like I couldn't agree more. It's such a
Well,
good sound.
it was very much a be the change you want to be in the world. You want to see in the world, Steve. Like because it was like, why are there more songs like this? This is such a
There
good
should
like
be.
Nice Sidonia is such a good song. I was
Those
just like,
horns, yeah, like is great.
why are
Absolutely.
well and my wife listens to a lot of uh New Orleans influenced
Mhm. Like
like
jazz.
jazz and blues and basically the more
Creole.
brass there is
Yep.
in the song the better. And so that's been
Big.
kind of leaking on me. And so like I was just like, okay, yeah, there needs to be more brass. I'm like, okay,
For
we're gonna
real.
make the brass happen. And so I've just been like looking for excuses. Plus, I mean, it's also just on a mixing level, it's very practical when you've got like these huge. Well, because if you don't have vocals, you know, and you've
Gotta
got
keep
all
that
these
compensate, right?
guitars and all this stuff going on, brass is great because it just sits
Yeah.
right on top of
Yep.
all of that
It's
stuff.
the vocal. Yep.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the lead. Yeah.
it's so nice just on that level. But yeah, that was also kind of fun because that was the song that really I broke through in terms of like songwriting because I just completely gave myself permission to just go and do stuff without like worrying about like taking ideas. Like not copying, but like
Hmm.
I need a really good build up and I'm just going to grab this chord progression or like I love the chord progression from Why Does My Heart Feel So Bad by Moby.
Yes.
So I'm just gonna
Brilliant.
use that. Yoink.
Yep.
And and you end up changing it anyway. I ended up not quite using it the same way, and it gets shortened and moved, and it ends up changing regardless, um, because of just pragmatic considerations. And there's a
Mhm.
transition, and then next thing you know, it's actually pretty different after
Yeah,
all. And then next thing you know, you've got your own song.
absolutely. And I had a college professor, my theory for college professor would always say there is no original music except for the very first song. Everything is derivative, you know, by
Yeah.
some way, shape, or form. It's just all, it's been changed so much, but only the first song is original.
Actually, I think even the first song was derivative. And that is because, and
It's,
I love this,
it's
I had this deep thought. I do these things where I think for a long time on one thing and then it hits me. But music is math. Even though it's
Mhm.
feeling, it's
Yeah.
actual science math.
Hmm.
All we do is
Well,
is
yeah.
discover and open it. We're opening the box different ways, but it's always been there. When stuff vibrates, it does that to the air, and that's what it does. And so I feel like people that get too caught up and it's new ways, it's fresh takes, it's personal expression, but getting caught up on new, like I said, even the first song was just manipulating what was already there. It's amazing. Math is a real thing that exists, and music is probably the best way to show it. When I was a science teacher, I would always we did when we did our sound units, it was all about music because
Mhm.
it's incredible how it's as arty as it is and as free and as emotional as it is. It's literally down to the nanosecond,
Vibration.
exactly science and math. So
Yeah, it is. It's it is medicinal in that vibrations and quote unquote good vibes, good vibrations are medicinal to people. So you could say
yeah,
that, right? Even the first song is derivative because it stems from mankind's desire to find good vibrations.
exactly. And the
Yeah.
way that those vibrations tend to tend to move people. Like it's pretty consistent across which that
Hmm.
minor scales automatically invoke a deeper feel, a
Yeah.
more serious feel, whereas like a seventh is flippy and skippy and
It
it's
makes you do that cocker spaniel head
yeah,
switch.
yeah. And you get like your sixth and stuff, and all of a sudden you're like, ooh, things are spooky. It's great. I love it. So I can get into that too, but I think that's why your idea about the chord progressions, you can start with anything and then you
Yeah.
turn it into what it is, and then it's yours. And
Yeah, it becomes yours.
that's the
You
essence
can
of
even
it.
say people do that in cover songs. Think about you mentioned Trent Reznor and Nine Inch Nails earlier, that amazing song Hurt. And
Mhm.
then many years later, Johnny
Yeah.
Cash covered it. It was like the last thing he did before he died, and it was so real. He made that song his own as if he wrote it himself.
Not
Like
only was it real, but it carried a different message.
completely different message. It was
It was
just a complete
amazing.
different tone. Yeah. So yeah. So Steve, I have one last question for you. I know that we've kind of gone over in time a little bit here, but
Do some
I'm good.
editing.
I'm good.
one last quick little question for you. And this is an impromptu question because I got it as we started this interview because of what you said. So we've got a new album that's gonna be coming out right after Nothing Is Easy. Can
Yes.
we get a name and possibly a release date? Are you willing to give that information?
Sure. It is called The Cure for Loneliness,
The Cure for Loneliness.
which is other people.
Rock and roll. That's profound. Love it.
And I am hoping uh,
It does not
it,
sound
it
like a
should
release date.
it should come out in October.
Okay. I
If it
can
does
live with
not come out in
October.
October, something went wrong. Uh, the and in fact, uh, here, hold on. Let me think of something that I can give you that I haven't told anybody. Let me think here.
Oh,
Um,
news.
He tells everybody everything, obviously.
What about
no,
what's
no,
one
no,
of the
no.
songs
I'm
that you're
trying to think of
covering?
something
Would
that
you tell us one of the
that's.
songs that's going to be released on it?
Um,
Or are
I'll
you
tell
going to
you.
pocket that?
Actually, here, tell you what. I'll tell you what the first single is going to be. Um,
Hurt.
you'll be unsurprised to find that it's a Muse cover,
Rock and roll.
uh, and it's of Starlight.
Starlight. Ba-da-da, ba-da-da. I love it. Yes.
Excellent.
I arranged it for 11 musicians. We played live instruments. I wrote it all in sheet music. We played it. I recorded them all in studios, like it's not synthesized. Um,
Wow, that's crazy.
and
Ooh,
we
whetting the appetite.
we
I cannot
recorded a music
wait to hear
video.
that.
We recorded a music video in a monastery with a drone, and it's all edited. It's all ready to go. In fact, the only reason that it's not released is because I wanted to get people. I wanted to get the originals album out first, so that
Yeah.
if people found
Hold
the
back on
cover
that.
first,
Don't give
Yeah.
it. Don't
they
give
would be
in.
able to
Let us
go
enjoy
back
this
to
one
the.
for a minute.
Yeah, we gotta savor this course before we move on to the dessert.
So yeah, so it's all ready to go. in the it's going to have a B-side of Capital G by Nine Inch Nails.
Oh, nice. I love it.
So, and that's going to have a shitload of brass too.
Man, that sounds good. I love that you're
Brass.
taking a song that was composed by a three-piece band and you've put 11 musicians onto it. That's going to be epic. I cannot wait to hear it. And on that note, on that beautiful, beautiful note,
Can I say something before we cut off,
sure, go for it.
please? Sitting here with you guys is fantastic, and I want to thank you for having us, and
Yeah.
Steve for reaching out to me. Over the last year and a half, I've had a bit of a complete renaissance in my life as far as music, and the fact that I get to sit here and talk about music with you guys, and that I found so many fantastic artists. I didn't know what was out there, and you are the exact example, Mr. Impulse 9, of what I'm talking about. Just
Oh,
brilliance
too
and
kind.
fantastic music, great stories, and more to come. And we have a whole lot of people out there like us that have stories to tell and music to share. And yeah, I want to thank you straight up for reaching out, and also for for doing it, for getting that music done for yourself, for your family, and actually for us, because
Yeah.
Mhm.
that's so encouraging, and this is what it's all about. It means a lot.
Yep.
Yeah, and then I'm looking forward to having having fewer releases uh, up in my business so that I can help out with Can a little bit.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
you already have. This is great. This is the stuff that matters right here.
Yeah. And to piggyback off of Dan, like you've got two new fans
Yep.
right
Ah,
here that we've both been very jazzed about this. And I've been into your work for quite some time now. I did a blind reaction for you back in October, I think it was. So
yeah.
I've been really digging your stuff for some time. So uh, I want to say, Dan, thank you so much for taking the time to come and join us on this interview. Steve, Impulse 9, thank you so much for sitting down and talking with us. For any viewers who are watching and listening, this interview is going to go up first before anywhere. It's going to go up onto Can's website. So make sure that you are joining. You do not have to be a musician to be on Can's platform. It is for fans of music as well. It's for artists, it's for poets, it's for sculptors, it's for
And it will always be free with no paywalls or hidden good stuff or
free,
anything. It's
absolutely
just
free.
just for us to do our thing.
Exactly. So it will be up on the Can website first before going onto YouTube to where you can watch it there. But make sure you go and watch it on Can, um, and make sure that you're joining Can. This has been a wonderful conversation with my friend Neccos for breakfast and my friend Impulse 9. Nothing is easy is
And
out
truth.
everywhere in the world. Go listen to it. Thank you very much for watching. Go press play.